Chapter 26 The New Art Teacher. My morning grade 12 drawing class had just ended, and I announced the next project. The students were buzzing with excitement. Oil painting was up next. But there was a problem. The assignment required a small painting board for everyone, and getting them wasn't exactly convenient. Orders had to be made via fax, and deliveries took at least 1 or 2 weeks, plus courier fees. As a rookie teacher, my planning skills were still a work in progress, and this drawn-out process felt entirely unnecessary. I was late getting my order in, quite frankly. I figured there was a faster way. Why wait for a shipment when I could just drive to the local hardware store and grab some particle board myself and other sculpture supplies too? The sheets could be cut into picture-sized rectangles right in school. These would work fine as painting surfaces. The plan was simple. Borrow the school pickup truck, make a quick run to Eve's Hardware and Lumber, and be back before the morning recess break and on time for coffee and pastries. Easy. Foolproof. Or so I thought. The school custodian, Freeman, was the gatekeeper of school vehicles. If you needed keys, you went through him. I found him outside the utility shed, eyeing me suspiciously as he jingled the keys in his hand. Before handing them over, he spat on the frozen ground and muttered, "Watch out, the old truck's got a mule-foot clutch. Ain't got no tailgate either, and pulls to the right like a son of a bitch." I wasn't entirely sure what he meant, but I was in a hurry. I thanked him, stuffed the keys in my pocket, and headed for the parking lot. December's bone-chilling cold was in full force, and the snow crunched under my shoes. Scraping just enough frost from the windshield to see, I climbed in and turned the key. The engine cranked painfully slow, then a backfire, followed by a puff of smoke. The ancient Ford pickup truck groaned to life. Just as I took a deep breath, an Arctic blast shot out from the defrost vents right into my face. Apparently, the heating system had given up somewhere back in the Reagan administration. And then the clutch. I released it, and the truck jerked forward violently, launching me back in my seat. So that's what Freeman meant by a mule-foot clutch. With a death grip on the steering wheel, I eased onto the road. The truck immediately pulled to the right, and I had to counter by pulling in the opposite direction. As I proceeded, the icy road seemed to balance out the steering problem. Somehow, I made it to Eve's Hardware and loaded up several 4x8 sheets of particle board, plus a couple bags of plaster of Paris powder for a sculpture project later that term. With no tailgate and no time to shovel out the truck bed, I stacked everything directly on a layer of snow and secured it as best I could. Then I took off. At the first red light, I braked, sliding gracefully to a stop. When the light turned green, I accelerated up the hill. Back at school, I parked by the art room door and, feeling triumphant, wiped my hands like a man who had just pulled off a heist. Made it, I thought. Success. A few grade 9 students loitered by the door, and I asked them to help unload the supplies off the truck to the art entrance door. They ran outside to the truck, happy to have something to do during recess. I turned and walked briskly to the staff room, where I desperately needed a coffee. The warmth was instant relief. I sank into a soft couch and grabbed a powdered donut from the table. Beside me sat Al Jewell, a veteran teacher with a sharp sense of humor. Feeling good about my resourcefulness, I started boasting how I'd saved courier fees, how I'd outsmarted the slow system, how I single-handedly supplied the art room in record time. Mid-brag, a student appeared in his doorway. "Sir," I turned the donut in hand. "We checked the truck, and It's just snow. The other student also seemed confused and commented hesitantly, "There's nothing there, just snow." I froze. The cold realization hit me as hard as a December wind. The load must have fallen off going up the hill at the intersection. The particle board, gone. The plaster powder, also gone. I stopped chewing. The icing sugar on my lips froze mid-bite, mirroring the sinking feeling in my stomach. Next to me, Alju caught on instantly. He erupted in uncontrollable laughter, his face turning bright red. Then, as if to add insult to injury, he started coughing, sending plumes of icing sugar into the air like a malfunctioning snow machine. At this point, the entire staff room was watching. I had no choice but to stare directly ahead and accept my fate. Later that day, driving home, I tried to laugh it off. Then I passed through the intersection where I had lost everything, and there it was. The road was covered with tiny broken pieces of particle board and covered with white plaster powder. If there was any consolation, it looked like snow. Nothing was retrievable. It looked like a crime scene or an exploded snowman. I gripped the wheel tighter and I kept driving, my dignity scattered across that intersection like the very supplies I had lost. At that moment, I made a vow. Never, ever, ever borrow the school truck again.